Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RC Plane Lab podcast. I'm Ron.
And I'm Tom.
Today, we're sitting down and talking with Dave Taylor. Dave is a friend of mine and Tommy's. I remember Dave from back in the local hobby shop days when I first started with my RC cars. Back in
Cars.
Well,
such a loser.
You've done cars.
I know. I'm a loser, too.
True. That would have been like the late 90s, I think. Probably close to my high school times. Anyway, he's been flying RC airplanes for about 35 years and has built over 100 airplanes. He actually has more planes ready to go now than Tommy and I combined.
Yeah.
So this should be a good conversation.
Well, yeah.
Even though Tommy is like the nitro guy, Dave is the guy that Tommy goes to when he has questions.
Absolutely true.
You guys have been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
How did that all happen?
I think it started back in the car days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Making
I
fun
think-
of me for that.
Yeah, well, you know. Yeah, so I started the racing thing in like 95 or so. I guess it was before that, really, because we were playing with cars out at the old track at
The hobby house.
Yeah. I don't know why I could never remember that, but yeah. So that would have been probably mid to early 90s even.
I started racing cars in 85.
Okay, so I didn't start quite that early with the cars. I think I was 92 when I first got my first race car. But yeah, anyway, Dave and I started, became acquaintances, racing buddies, and then that transitioned to airplanes. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's been that long ago, but yeah, that when you write it down and you look at it on paper, 1992, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I was 11.
Oh, shut up.
Sorry.
And funny story, Dave and I are about the same age.
Yeah.
So now there's two of us, Ron.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, make fun of our age now, buddy.
Well, no. I'll be respectful to Dave. So you guys actually used to work at hobby shops, from what Tom told me.
Yep.
But competing hobby shops.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, talk about it a
To
little
me,
bit.
yeah. So to me, even though the two shops were competing, I didn't have any like skin in the game, and Dave didn't have any skin in the game either. So we were always, I thought, friends. And I would always send people to the shop that you worked at if I couldn't help them or if we didn't have something they needed, and
Same.
vice versa. So it was like, even though they were competing hobby shops, now you got to realize this is back in a time, this is before the internet, right? So if you wanted to buy RC stuff, you had two options. You could either go to a hobby shop, or you could mail or call in an order to one of these, these mail order places. So, yeah, there was always very amicable between
we'd race on what, Wednesday nights?
Yeah, Wednesday nights or McKay's. Remember McKay's? We used to race there too. But yeah, we'd race on Wednesday nights, and we'd each send
I'd
customers to
routinely
the
get
other.
my butt kicked.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, that's the I mean, even though it's a funny story because the two owners of those two shops just absolutely could not bear to even think about the other.
Really?
They were not friends at all. But the people that worked for them were obviously friends.
Friendly, yeah.
Yeah.
I just find it funny that this town used to support two hobby shops.
At one time we had three at one time.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, and now we have zero. And we
And
have
now
to
we
drive
have none, and we have to drive
2
hours to go
north
to a hobby
get
shop.
to a decent one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I have to buy substandard glue at Hobby Lobby.
Oh, don't get Ron started on the Hobby Lobby glue.
yeah.
You've heard that episode, I hope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'm not going to do that again.
No.
So
Yeah, it's a minimum of a 100-mile drive to get decent glue.
yeah,
That's
which
true.
yeah, that's so sad.
It is sad. But back in the day, I mean, we had up to 3 hobby shops where you could go and get quality stuff. But
Locally,
Mhm.
not anymore.
Yep.
So Dave, let's talk about you, not hobby shops and stuff. How did you get started in the hobby?
Well, it started with the cars, like we already talked about. I've always loved airplanes. Airplanes have always been a love of mine. And then I graduated high school and got a little money and
Mhm.
bought my first airplane.
Do you remember what?
Yeah. So what was the impetus for that? Like, did you see them at the local club, or did you have somebody?
My grandparents lived, within hearing distance of the old club field on Hazeldale.
Oh, over there by Knights.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
What
and
field?
so I could sit on their front porch and hear the airplanes.
Yeah,
And of
so-
course, they drug us out there every now and then to see them.
That's
right. So there
nice.
used to be a field, Ron, right across from Knights Action Park on the other side of 72 there.
Really?
It's vacant, pretty much a vacant
Farmland now.
green space now. But there used to be a field there, and I forget which club that was. I don't.
Springfield Sunday Flyers.
Sunday Flyers. There you go. So, yeah, I remember that clubs because as I got started in the airplanes, the story that I told that got me in the hobby, my neighbor. That's where, we would take our weekend trips or whatever. We'd come up to the Sunday Flyers Club there by Knights Action Park, and that's where we did a lot of our flying.
So this town had 2 clubs too then? At the same time, or was that not
at one time? They had 3 clubs because we had Sunday Flyers, we had the Knights of the Air, and then we had the whatever
Sangamon
that
Valley.
club. Yeah, the Sangamon Valley. Yeah, we had 3.
And that's the only one that is still with it because that's the one we're members of now.
That's
Yes.
true. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that something?
That's...
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were 3.
Yeah.
Like I knew about the second one because you've told me about it, but...
Yeah, Springfield back in the day was really, I don't want to say Mecca, that might be overstating it, but it was a really large RC scene, more than likely because of our proximity to, Tower and Great Plains and Hobbyco and all those folks in Champaign. But
Yeah.
at one time this place was booming with RC stuff. So you were able to hear from your front or from Grandma's front porch the airplane. So that's what did it for you. The sound.
Well, that and just the normal love of airplanes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was kind of the sound too.
That
Listening
also
to
tells you how loud the old airplanes
Oh
were.
yeah, yeah. There were no decibel. You never had to stay under a decibel limit back then.
Well, that's quite a distance from where you're talking about to where the actual field was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound travels, I guess, but wow.
That's crazy.
So what was your first airplane?
First airplane that I purchased was a Goldberg Anniversary Edition Cub
Started with a Cub.
with a OS 91 4-stroke.
Wow, you jumped right into the 4-strokes then.
Yep.
Right in there.
And my instructor promptly flew it through a tree for me.
Oh jeez.
It shot through the tree,
not
shot
funny.
across Hazeldale, and was heading for 72. Fuselage only. It left the tail and the wings in the tree.
Oh sweet. So it was like a missile.
Yes. And
Awesome.
the 91
Uncontrollable.
4-stroke was pulling it.
Oh sure it was. Yeah. Well, yeah, it didn't have the weight of the wing and the empennage to hold it back.
Luckily, it hit the catch fence before it got to the
Okay.
highway.
Well, that's good. I still have one of those, by the way, in the box. A Goldberg Cub kit.
Not a broken one.
It's not broken. No, it's not built. So
So what size would that be? If it's a 91, that'd be a pretty good size
those are
wing
what,
span, right?
70?
40 to 60 size.
Yeah, they were designed to be a 40 to 60 size
Okay.
two-stroke. Yeah,
I gotcha.
and 91 would the equivalent.
Way too
roughly.
much horsepower.
It was too much. Yeah, I'm sure. But we're talking like a 78-inch wing, I believe.
Yeah,
something
it was
like that. It's a good size for the time.
5th, 6th scale.
Yeah, and that was one of. I won't say one of the first, but I believe that was a very early kit that had what we call now tab lock type construction.
I had never built anything previously,
Yeah,
and it was flyable, obviously.
yeah, yep.
Oh, so you built your first one then?
Yes.
That's awesome.
See, I got into it when it was the foamy Super Cub that was ready to go, and you just didn't have to worry about building. Like that would be so much more stressful, I think, than what I had to deal with, because I was out money, not time, if anything happened to it.
Yeah, yeah. We were out money and time.
So did you have somebody that taught you to fly?
A guy named Mark Edwards. I had met racing cars, of all things.
Yeah,
So this is all thanks to cars, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I started
For sure.
in cars too, so it's a lot less expensive to get into cars, but just not as fun.
I mean, it depends on how bad you get into cars, I guess. But
Well,
I guess
mean,
I'm the only one that started with airplanes. And
I mean, as a start to learning how, like, it's hard to pick up on when the plane or car is coming at you, everything is backwards. And I think that's easier to pick up on a car than on an airplane because there's a lot less that can go wrong when you're, driving a car. So,
So
Yeah.
also just stop.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
You can't do that on a
that's
plane.
that's a good point.
So I think
Yeah.
once you get used to it with that, it's a likely next step because cars take you to planes. At least they did for me.
So how long did it take you to learn?
It was a summer.
Oh, okay. That's pretty quick, actually.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I had to
Took me
build a
much
second
longer.
airplane after that. So I picked up a Midwest Aerostar and a Canby 45 Sportster,
Mhm.
which is an awful engine.
I'm not a big fan of the Sportsters. Yep, I agree.
Was quickly replaced by a Super Tiger Bullring 40.
There you go.
And that engine, well, it had over 100 gallons of fuel through it when I sold it.
Wow.
That's a lot of fuel.
That is a lot of fuel. So what's wrong with the...
So like I'm doing the math in my head. 100 gallons at even back then prices at $15 a gallon. That's a lot of fuel.
But that's a lot of fun.
It is, absolutely.
So what was wrong with K and B? Like what's wrong with those that you guys didn't like them?
Low horsepower, unreliable. The Sportster series was a plain bearing engine. It just was cantankerous. It would leak air through the plain bearings. Just hard to tune. Not a beginner's motor, which I definitely was at the time.
Yeah. See, that stuff, like, for me, if I did want to get into collecting or doing anything with nitro motors, I would have no idea because I've not dealt with them.
Right.
So you see all these different motors and stuff for sale on like eBay or Facebook classifieds and all that. I half the time I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree. The Sportsters, even the 60, was it 60 or 61, whatever it was, not a friendly engine to play with. For exactly what you're talking about, just very, very finicky on the needle settings if you could get them to run at all.
You're sucking air through the crankcase about 50% of the time.
Yeah. So not a fun engine to learn. Luckily for me, I've never owned one, so
I own two.
I've had to help people try to tune them before, but I've never owned them, and I won't. Now the other KMBs, the 4011, I think is the model number. They're ball bearing supported crankshaft 40 size. That thing's a screamer.
I had a K&B boat motor. Kick
Oh
boat
yeah.
motor.
Oh yeah. So, it's like, just like anything else, there's good ones and bad ones. Manufacturers make good and bad. So,
And usually the more expensive, the better off it is.
generally speaking,
Pay for ball bearings.
Yeah.
agreed.
That much I have heard.
Although I will say the OSLA series of
The
motors,
LAs are okay.
they run pretty doggone good. That's what's on my yellow stick, and it runs really good.
Don't have to worry about them rusting.
That's right.
You've run a lot of fuel through that. So
I have. Yeah, at least a couple gallons anyway.
yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So Mark Edwards, I'm familiar with the name. I'm having a hard time putting a face with it, but I'm sure he was around whenever Mike, the guy who helped me, and I would go to the field up there. And was he a pattern flyer by any chance?
Pattern, but the big thing I remember with him is he was the first ducted fan jet I've ever saw.
Ah, okay.
Byron F16 with the OS 91.
Yep.
Took the entire field to get it off the ground.
Yep, I remember. Well, I mean, I remember the ducted fan era trying to fly them at nights. So in Taylorville, where I grew up, we did a majority of our flying. They would let us use the airport. This is way, way back when, of course. But the ducted fan guys, they would delight in the fact that they could use that full 2,800 feet or whatever it was of runway, because that's what it took.
Yeah. Well, we were flying off of grass.
Yeah. Yikes. Can't imagine. Those things don't make, it sounds like they're making a lot of power,
Oh, it's screaming.
but they really didn't make a lot of power
I think
because
my
they were
electric
pretty
90
inefficient.
millimeter puts out way more than that
Yeah,
thing did.
exactly. Because they weren't you couldn't, it's almost like even though the engines were screaming, you just couldn't generate enough RPM
The
to
giant cheater holes.
produce the thrust. Yeah. And then the big holes on the bottoms of the fuselage so they could get enough air to move. Yeah, I remember those days. I'm glad those days are over. EDFs are way, way more efficient.
New plug every flight.
Yep, guaranteed. Or if you were really tricky, you had that cool in-flight adjustable needle, which sometimes that helped too. But yeah, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that anymore.
So you can set them super lean to get off the ground, then ridging them up so you don't explode.
Yep.
Wow. How the times have changed.
Yeah. So you remember your first airplane? Do you remember your 15th?
15th, I couldn't tell you. Not a clue.
The reason I ask that is because we were talking about it earlier. It's like everybody remembers like their first one, maybe their first 5, let's say. But then if you've been in the hobby for a long time and you've amassed a list like this of airplanes over the course of the years, you tend to forget a lot of what's in the middle. And I just thought
It might be that Goldberg Electra I got on there.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've got a Goldberg Electra that I built 88, 89.
Oh, this is the one you still have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that might be close to one of the.
Yeah, that's got me beat. The oldest airplane I have is that old Contender.
So I'm trying to think, like, I don't even remember the order that they come in. Like, I don't know how you can remember more than 3. Like, I remember the first one just because of what it was. And I remember the second one because it was the one I wanted to buy first.
Yeah.
But I can't, like, I don't even remember what I got after that.
Well, from like the era that we come from, you know, you
spent so much time with them, building them.
Exactly.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, you're intimately familiar with the airplane itself because you more than likely built it, or at least had some hand in building it with the person that's helping you. So yeah, I remember at least my first 3.
I think I got 4 or 5 this year. It was the Piper Cub, followed by a Blue Max.
I remember those.
Followed by, I think it was one of the Red Box P-47, and then a
Top
Bridie
Flight?
Vagabond.
Which Vagabond? The Bridie?
Bridie,
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
which was a pattern trainer of some sort, very similar to the Chaos.
Kind of like a Chaos. Yep.
It had a double tapered wing though, which was really fun to build for a beginner.
Yeah. How'd you manage that? Because
I don't know. It ended up fairly straight.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
And then after that, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no YouTube back then to find out how to do things when you didn't know what was going on.
And there was no internet to look it up either. You had to either read the instruction manual or go to your club meeting or whatever and bring it up with your buddies or at the field or whatever. Yeah, there was no social media back then.
God, how times have changed.
I know the Blue Max had a horribly warped wing. It actually spent some time in the bathtub.
Oh, okay. To wet it down so you could put some twist in it?
Yep.
Or take twist out of it? Yeah.
I think it's set in my.
Is that the one that had the big end caps on the wing? Yep. I
Big,
remember
super
that.
fat wing.
Yeah. I remember that.
So how does that work? You just soak them to get them pliable?
Mm-hmm. And then you put a reverse twist in it and then let it dry.
Yeah, you over twist it going the other direction and hope you guessed right.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I prefer that method myself than to do it with the covering. Because I know some people
Covering gets out in the sun, loosens up, and you're
exactly,
back to where you
and
were.
you're back to where you started. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of doing it the covering way, but I've never heard of the bathtub method.
Covering works for really small warps.
Yeah.
I like the Goldberg, the Electra, you're supposed to put washout in the wing, and that's the way they have you do it, is put
With
a
the
pencil under
covering.
it and heat up the covering.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. But then, like you said, you get it out in the sun and the covering gets soft. You've lost all of the work you put into it.
Yeah. That's
So,
learn something new.
yep.
What
Yep.
else? Teach me.
The Blue Mat. Who made the Blue Mat? I forget who
I
made that.
don't know. It's an RCM modeler plan. I know I saw the plans show up not too long ago, and I thought about ordering them because I haven't had one for 30 years.
Yeah. Somebody kitted it though. I remember that.
Yeah, and I don't know who the kit was. Mine was a
Craft Air,
kit.
maybe. Would have been about the right timeline.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, that was a good flying. It was like the predecessor to the fun one. The one you had hang.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
kind of similar design, kind of a shoulder wing, a really thick airfoil.
But these had a taper to it. They were swept.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's right. It
So
was.
that's not anything like.
Well, it's kind of because the fun one has a swept leading edge. The trailing edge is straight,
Right.
but this one had the wing was completely swept. The
whole
front or
thing.
the leading edge and the trailing edge. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And just a square boxed fuselage.
Pretty much a stick fuse.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. It was good flying airplanes. They were great fun fly
Don't
airplanes.
know how many times I destroyed that thing.
Well, because they give you false confidence, I think. Oh, this thing, look at this thick wing. I can go out here and try to do an inverted flat spin. Sure, no problem.
And being new to it, I had the ailerons cranked way up.
Of course.
Back in the day before we had dual rates.
Yep, no such thing.
Or I'm sure you didn't have the, what the heck is it called? My mind went blank.
Expo?
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Oh, yeah.
such thing.
No Expo,
Expo back then was you changed, we've talked about this before, you changed where you mounted the control horns on the wheel of the output.
Yeah, but that's differential.
That's
though. I'm
differential.
talking about actual,
Oh, okay, yeah. You're
where it
talking about-
smooths out
Yep.
the center of the sticks for you.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. Straight 4-channel AM Conquest Futaba radio.
Oh, you old
the
people. It's so
memories.
fun talking to you guys.
The memories.
I think I still have a 4-channel AM because the Electra still flies that.
Yeah.
And you can fly by and you hear the servos grinding away.
Hmm. Yeah. I still have an old FG. Remember the Futaba FGs,
Yeah.
the gold cases? I still have a 4-channel of one of
Those
those.
are cold in the winter.
Yes, they were.
They
yes, they were.
aluminum.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the case was aluminum, so yeah.
You got rid of one of your FM setups, didn't you? Not that
Yeah,
long
that
ago?
was a newer computer, one of the first computerized radios. But yeah, the FG was same kind of a thing. No No dual rates, no expo, no programming of any
Pop the
kind.
back off the radio and dip,
To do the
dip switches
reverses.
for reversing.
Yep.
Did have reversing. That was a big selling point.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, you
Well, I
probably
guess-
never experienced that either. Yeah, you'd flip the transmitter over, and you'd pop the battery cover off, and behind the battery cover there would be dip switches. Just a two-position switch, and those were your reversing. That's how you reverse the channels.
Well, say I think was it the DX4 was the very first one I ended up with the Super Cub, and that it had that, but it was on the front, so
Oh,
you could
okay.
still reverse, but
Okay,
it was
I gotcha.
yeah, it was 2.4 gigahertz though, but like half a football field of range.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
are pretty bad.
not very far.
No.
Yeah, 6 foot long antennas.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Oh yeah, I remember the old RC car antennas that I had back on AM that were that long.
Yeah.
Never with planes though.
Did you ever? I know you started, Dave. You started a little bit later than I did, but I had kind of a lull, if you will. Like I started and I had my first airplane in, I forget now, 80, 81, whatever it was.
46.
Oh, shut up. But then there was a few years there where I was in school or whatever and didn't fly much. Did you ever have to fly with the numbers clipped to
Oh,
the
yeah.
antenna? Okay.
And if it was breezy, they'd be flopping around with the red antenna, with the red flag at the tip.
At the tip, yeah.
Yeah, that was really annoying.
Yep. So my first radio had actual streamers on it that were two colors. Like it would be, the top streamer would be white and the bottom would be orange. Remember those?
Yep.
And that's how you could differentiate. You could just do a quick glance down the field, and if you had the colors memorized of the frequencies, you could tell who was on what frequency.
I remember the old Dubro tags to slip down with your numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, those were trick. That was the trick thing
Yeah.
you would do to your transmitter. So you'd actually have numbers instead of those stupid colored streamers. Good times. See what you missed out on, Ron?
I missed on all that.
That's
That's
one of the pluses of
Wow.
working in the hobby shop. I kind of guard my own channel.
Yeah.
Nobody around here had channel 60.
Mm-hmm.
I never
remember
thought of
that,
that.
yeah.
But that's a good idea.
Yeah. I was never quite. I guess I shouldn't say that. I guarded 78 for quite a while on the car side. 78 and 84, I think, were the two that were always my go-tos before we went to Spectrum. Anyway.
I had the old synthesized.
Yeah.
You could change anywhere in the spectrum.
Yep. I had that for a very brief period because I held out for so long because I was so fond of my old Futaba Magnum transmitters. We're talking about cars, but I had synthesized for maybe a season and then
I was
went
still
to
flying,
synthesized.
still driving synthesized 5 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's funny. I ran across a synthesized Futaba transmitter module the other day down in my stuff. It's like, I don't remember owning a Futaba synthesized transmitter, but okay, here's my
I got a
module.
synthesized aircraft receiver, and I have no idea where it came from.
Well, there you go. Find a transmitter for this module and you'll be set.
I've still got my 8103 on channel 60.
I have an 8103. Mine's been converted though. Or is it a 92 of whatever it is? I don't know. Still in the case. I haven't looked at it in a long time.
And I have no clue what you're talking about.
See us old guys. So Dave, what do you prefer? Do you like, we've talked about this before. So obviously I think I get more out of the hobby by the tinkering and the building and the tuning and all that. And Ron, I think he prefers more to do some of the flying than the tinkering.
That is not correct.
No?
I think I'm going more over to the building side.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I get scared to fly stuff.
You do.
We've talked about that
That's true.
before. It's just
Yeah.
you put so much time into it that you don't want to see it go away.
Yeah. You did a great job with the Duelist though. I mean, you
Yeah,
seem to fly that thing like it's
Flown it like twice.
It's been more than that. It's like you've got
hasn't
like
been
4
out
or
there.
5 on it.
Okay, in that one day maybe.
Yeah.
But it's not been out since then.
Well, we've been busy.
I like how you go to that all the time. Well, we've been busy. No, we've been lazy. It's okay.
Yeah. So what about you, Dave?
I am a builder through and through.
That was me. I'm sorry.
Okay. So yeah, you get more out of the building. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a little hard for me sometimes to get to the field. I do have a disability, and dragging airplanes up and down the driveway.
Mhm.
I just much rather build. And some days I'm exhausted by the time I get the plane in the car. It's like,
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah. So I don't have a disability and I feel your pain.
Well,
But, like,
I think we
some
all
of the
do,
times
honestly.
it's like I sometimes I think the night before, well, I should probably charge this and get this ready. And by the time I have everything ready to go to put in the car the following morning, it's like, maybe I'll just stay home and tinker with this engine or whatever. So I know exactly what you're saying.
I like gluing stick A to stick B.
Yeah. Yep. I'm definitely the hands-on doing something with my hands. And I mean, I wish I was a better flyer. I really do. But I'm like you. I tend to get more out of it.
My skill set has really dropped off in the last few years. I feel a very competent flyer. I can fly pretty much anything, and I have.
Yep.
But I'm getting old. My reflexes have slowed down. I'm flying quarter scale World War I stuff, the
Which is
2-second roll rate.
Hard to fly to begin with because they're more finicky.
Well, it's a different technique.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
You got to remember they're very draggy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't chop the throttle and wait.
Definitely have to manage the throttle with
they're
those
not
things.
floaters.
They're very much like a duct fan jet.
Yeah.
You got to land with the throttle on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you fly them with the rudder instead of the ailerons mostly.
Yeah. My triplane, I fly 99% of the time with the rudder. Will actually find myself most of the time correcting with the ailerons the opposite direction to keep it from overbanking.
Overspinning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you've built over 100 airplanes.
Yeah.
Roughly. We don't need exact numbers.
Because I couldn't give them to you.
Well, what is so you said you like building kits, obviously. What kit has been your favorite kit to go together?
I tell you, anymore, I love building the Balsa USA kits.
Mm-hmm.
Everything fits. Their instruction manuals are absolutely fabulous. There's enough thinking to make it interesting. But again, there's not so much thinking that you just get frustrated with it.
Yeah.
Their aircraft always fly well, even with me making stupid mistakes sometimes.
They're forgiving.
They're very forgiving. I love building kits. My current favorite from them, and I've had it for many, many years, is my Fokker triplane, quarter scale. I would love to have something third scale, but I cannot store anything that big.
Yeah.
But their quarter scale triplane is just a fabulous flying airplane.
And it's a pretty airplane too.
And it makes
Yours
you
is
look
really
like a
pretty.
good pilot. Everybody thinks they're super hard to fly.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Really?
they're hard to land.
It can be a handful
And take
once
off.
the wheels touch the ground.
Yeah.
I always heard they were hard to kind of fly and deal with.
It has a high center of gravity, like a van.
Oh, yeah. So it likes to nose over quickly.
Dave has handed the sticks over to me, several times and makes me look like a fool, of course. And I'm always, reluctant to take the sticks of his airplanes because he does such a great job building them, and they're all so pretty. But yeah, I've tried to fly some of your World War I stuff, and it just makes me look terrible.
Yeah. Once you get the takeoff and rollout nailed, flying them is no big deal.
Okay. That's interesting.
That's good, to remember
no
that.
tail wheel is also fun, especially in a crosswind.
Yeah.
So it's just got a skid then, or
Just a skid. Yeah.
So you do a little hop and blast the rudder. Hop and blast the rudder.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of wingspan does that have then? Quarter scale being roughly.
Actually, because it's a triplane, it's not that big. It's 60-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's physically a big airplane.
Yeah, it's
like
quarter
once it's
scale.
once it's together, it's
That's a lot of airplane.
Yeah, that's I guess so when you talk about your you like the biplanes and stuff, but the wingspan is not really a good judge by size of airplane for a biplane.
right.
Because the wing's actually not as wide on those. So
Right. Yeah. Not as much wingspan because you got two of them.
Yeah.
It's
And-
twice the lift.
Well, with the triplane, you technically have 4.
Well, that's true. There's another
on the-
plane on the landing gear.
Yeah, in the middle. I forgot about that.
Or airfoil, I should say, not plane.
Not as wide, but
Hey, it lifts. It provides lift. So the Balsa USA, the triplane is your favorite. So what would you say your least favorite is over the last few years?
I have an Avios Grand Tundra, which
Oh, it's an electric. Okay. Yeah.
it's
Foamy electric. Yep.
and it flies fine,
Okay.
but it's got issues. It has a Dutch roll to it, which I had to fix by putting a gyro in it.
Oh.
what's a Dutch roll?
Dutch roll is where you kind of yaws and rolls at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of okay.
Like
The
there's
gyro did a lot to straighten that out.
like there's not enough vertical area or something.
You would think with that airplane it would have plenty.
Yeah.
It looks right.
Yeah.
But it had a nasty Dutch roll to it. The other problem with it is, and I haven't fixed it yet, is the large Tundra tires that came with it. They're nice and squishy. They're soft foam, like memory foam. But they are horribly out of balance. And if you do an extended takeoff roll, which this airplane doesn't need, by the way, but if you do an extended takeoff roll, you can literally see the wheels bouncing up and down in about a 4-inch arc.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Holy cow.
They've blown themselves off the rim.
Mm-hmm.
They're glued on.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. I've actually got a nut and bolt inside one of them to balance it. I need to just replace those wheels with a normal standard wheel that's not annoying.
Yeah.
It's not annoying. Yes.
The airplane is capable of taking off in its own length. With full flaps and a 6-cell setup, it'll jump off the ground in less than 2 foot.
Yeah. I've seen it. It does.
But the extended rollout, oh man, it's awful.
If you're trying to go for a scale takeoff, you really don't do that very well.
No.
Mm-mm. No.
I was going to say, have there been any kits that you've tried to put together that have been so bad you just quit on?
No, I've built everything I've ever started.
That's impressive.
Well, some are better than others, though, right?
It's definitely something that comes with experience. There's some kits that if you were relatively new to it, you would never figure them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to the old Red Box Top Flight kits.
Oh, man.
Basically, the instruction manual for a P-47 was 4 pages, no pictures.
Yeah. It's true.
Well, that's impressive, though, that you finished everything. I can't even say that.
I can't say that because I currently have one that I haven't finished.
Which one is
Oh,
that?
it can.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I will say my 1905 Wright Flyer, and I'm not going to mention manufacturer, the instructions leave a lot to be desired.
Okay.
I have an extra set of ribs. I don't know where they go.
Really? Like a complete extra set?
I have 2 spare upper ribs and have no clue where they go.
Interesting.
That is kind of funny.
And of course, no note in the manual that says, "Oh, hey, by the way."
And of course, there's no plans either.
Oh, okay. Well, that's helpful.
Really? That was the one you just got not that long ago, right?
I picked it up at Brian's.
Yeah, a dynamic balsa.
That's good to know, so that I don't buy one of those, or if I buy one that.
Well, but it looks great. I mean,
It does.
he showed
It
us
actually goes
pictures and
together
stuff.
pretty well, but it's a head scratcher. Even with the experience that I've got, it's a head scratcher.
Well, that's good because I'll be honest, I was looking at that kit before you bought it, and I'm glad I didn't even ask about it. I like airplanes that are different. I mean, you don't see those very often. I'd never seen a kit like that before, but I knew it was going to be a long time until I got to it. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you got it and got it put together.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking airplane all put together.
Well, and you've done a lot of extra stuff to it too, like
little
you scratch
scratch
built. But yeah, the pictures, it's really neat.
Which that's part of building kits. You get to make them the way you want them.
That's
I've
true.
just never had leftover ribs.
Yeah, that's. I mean, like I could understand if it was a die cutting sheet, and they use like maybe the same die to print all the ribs, but maybe you get 2 sheets, but you only need 4, or vice versa.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
you'll
saying?
have extras that way.
That way, yeah, I could see that. But these were just 2.
This is a laser cut
random
kit, and
laser
I got
cut.
2 leftover extra upper ribs.
Interesting.
Maybe they just packaged it wrong.
It's laser cut sheet. They're all on the sheet.
Oh, then I have no clue.
Yeah, I'm at a loss.
So if that's a fairly new type or new kit, then
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
I
like
think it was a
80s or 90s.
2006 kit or something like
Oh.
that. I mean, it's not old.
that's new enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think so. Well, I mean, it's laser cut, so it's fairly
Yeah,
new.
that's kind of what I was thinking. Wow, that's impressive. Extra parts. I always end up with extra parts, but I usually figure they're supposed to go somewhere.
I usually end up with extra shear webs and things like that.
Right.
I always figured that somebody at the factory can't count.
Well, that's what I'm actually hoping because I have 4 extra shear webs for the stick
stick.
that I'm building, and I looked through everything and I think I did it right, but somebody else couldn't count.
It could be. Yeah.
I hope.
More than likely, that's the case. Like they, like maybe they're shrink wrapping, because a lot of the times the shear webs will come like shrink wrapped.
They
whatever.
were. Yep.
And maybe their shrink wrap machine is only designed to do a certain capacity, and if you short it, then it doesn't shrink wrap it correctly or something. Who knows?
And I'm really frugal
Yeah,
when I
no
cut
idea.
those too. So sometimes I figure I just
Well, yeah, you're talking about cutting your own, but like on the kit that Ron's working on,
They were
pre-cut,
pre-made.
so.
Yeah.
But did you still have to trim them to get them to fit?
So I must have done something wrong. Well, I guess no, I really couldn't do anything wrong because it's tabbed construction. One side of the wing I had to. The other side of the wing I didn't have to,
Interesting.
which is weird.
That is weird.
So
I almost hate to ask, are the panels the same length?
I don't know. I haven't measured.
I think I did that one time. Left out a rib.
I didn't know. I know I didn't live out a rib because like when
Well, the leading edges and trailing edges are notched for the ribs.
So they would have to be the same length.
Well, yeah, one they could have shrank, or who knows? They could have ran it through a different die, or it'd be interesting to see if your panels are the same length.
I'm gonna say they were the same because when I did the front spar that went across, it was notched. They were together in the box, and they were the exact same length because I actually looked at the lines.
Okay.
I don't know if they use like a saw to cut that or how that works.
I have no idea.
You know what I'm talking about, though, because
Yes.
it's a square piece of tubing, and then it's just cut, angled on it with a slot.
Yes.
Those all lined up just perfect.
Oh.
So it was the exact same piece.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm going to say I didn't do anything wrong on that one.
All right, then.
I could be wrong, though.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Ron.
Right? Huh?
So, Dave, what's your take? Like this whole FAA drone thing and the FAAs getting involved in the hobby. What's your take on that? How do you feel about that?
I think I'm going to take off some of our quad flyers because I think they're the ones that have brought this upon us.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the...
The
This is not
opinions
the-
expressed on the...
That's what
I'm
I'm
very
going for.
hesitant
There
to
you
even
go.
say that.
No, it's okay.
No, it's all right. Yeah.
But I
you're
think-
among friends.
Yeah.
I think these people getting quadcopters, and they're so simple to fly. Anybody can fly them.
Mm-hmm.
And so people flying them over NFL games and getting in the way of aerial firefighting and things like that have caused the FAA to have to go, wait a second, guys.
Yeah.
And because it's very hard to separate drones,
Mm-hmm.
quadcopters, out from the model aircraft,
Yep.
we're all just tossed in the same boat together.
Yep.
And unfortunately, like I hate to say it, but that kind of makes sense to do it that way because I don't know how else you would actually do it. I mean,
I genuinely feel like the FAA, with AMA's input and the modeler's input, that we were allowed to
give
submit.
input. Yeah.
I feel like this is just me personally. I agree with you 100%. This, like, if it weren't for drones,
They would have left us alone.
yeah, we'd be fine. But okay, so this is where we're at, and I feel like, me personally, I feel like this is probably because it is so difficult to separate model, hobbyist, whatever you want to call it, flying, scale airplanes from radio controlled drones. That's what they are. Because it is so difficult to separate them, I feel like we're at the best compromise probably that we could get.
Yeah,
Even though I don't like it. I don't
It's
like
as good
the,
as we're going to hope for at
yeah,
the current time.
I don't like the
Yeah.
fact that the FAA is involved and telling us what we can and can't do. But in all honesty, the effects are minimal.
So far.
So
Yeah, I
right.
agree.
I really
At this
appreciate the FAA letting me figure out how small I can write my information.
Yeah.
I fly almost exclusively scale aircraft.
Yeah.
I don't want great big AMA numbers and address all over the airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of my aircraft are incredibly small writing on the hinge lines,
Mm-hmm.
inside the hinges.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean,
On the bottom.
You do what you do what you got to do. I mean, it's on there, but
It's legal.
you
You
don't.
might need a magnifying glass to read it, but hey, it's on there.
Come to find out, I can write really small.
Nice.
That's a good
Yeah.
thing to know.
Well,
Good skill.
Dave, kudos to you for at least following, the guidelines and stuff. There are no numbers, there are no names, there are no addresses on any of my airplanes, inside or outside. And that's a foul on me. It's mostly
Yeah.
because I'm lazy, but kudos to you for at least doing that.
I won't say any, but most
Yeah.
of mine don't.
I even went so far as to laminate my FAA card.
Oh, I did
Nice.
too.
Oh, really?
I did.
Oh, I haven't even printed mine.
And my trust certificate also.
That I haven't done yet. I need to get that done.
It's beyond simple.
I know.
You can't fail it.
Oh,
No, I mean you can't
it's a
fail
typical
it.
federal test. You can't fail it.
Yeah.
We just have to have proof you took this and passed.
I'm not even sure where my trust certificate is. I know I printed it, but I can't remember where I put it.
Mine's on my computer desk still because I haven't moved it since I took it and printed it months ago.
But to be fair,
To be fair,
do you know how many people have asked me for it? Exactly zero.
Yeah, me
And
too.
that's how many will ever ask you
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah,
Yep. It's a true
I
story.
get it. It's unfortunate, but you know what? We play by the rules, don't we?
Mostly.
Yeah.
Mister, I don't have my information on any aircraft.
I know, and that
it's
actually
because I'm
goes.
lazy.
That's not FAA. That goes back AMA.
It does.
Like,
Well, no, my AMA number is inside.
It can be inside.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be outside.
Yeah, but it's the my whatever that drone number is.
yeah, your FAA
I don't
number.
put my AMA number inside the airplane anymore. I figure I got my FAA number on the airplane. Close
That's
enough.
probably enough to get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I understand.
Yeah.
So, what's your number? By the way, that's
By the way, yeah, that's what prompted that conversation.
Yeah. Let's see. What did we come up with earlier? It was 40-something flyable.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got us beat.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
But you guys got me beat in the kit department. I've only got 4 kits.
Well, see what that says about you though is that
You build
you
them.
buy a kit to build and you build it. And I'm lazy. I haven't built a kit in a while.
Yeah, you'll.
To be fair, 2 of those kits I actually got in a trade and I don't even want them. The GM Plastics Moonie 201. I have no
Oh,
interest in it.
Moonies.
Moonie.
What is that?
So it's a low wing.
Cherokee-like.
Yeah. But the
Oh.
Moonies are known for their their great ride qualities. I used to fly one way back when.
Oh, like full size real life one.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got I think 15 hours, I think, in a 201. Anyway, the tail is uniquely shaped. Instead of being sort of tapered to the aft, it's tapered forward.
Yeah, it's swept forward.
So it has a leaning forward trailing edges on the
Really?
yeah.
It's a unique looking airplane.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to build that?
Civilian stuff doesn't do a whole lot for me.
Mhm.
Not to say I don't do any civilian stuff, but the Moonie, just
Mhm.
no real interest in it.
You're all like World War One stuff.
I got everything up to and including F-15.
Mhm.
So I fly from 1905 to 2005.
Oh, you've got an F-23, don't you?
I got an
It's a
F-22.
foamy. Oh, it's a 22. Okay. Or yeah, 23. I'm thinking the YF-23, but yeah, F-22.
Now I do have plans for a YF-23.
Really?
Yeah, in a foamy
Yeah.
bark flyer setup situation, but
Hmm.
haven't built one yet.
Cool.
And then I've got that Circus Hobbies AT6 back when Circus Hobbies out of Las Vegas, the casino people,
Same people. Used to make radios too.
Circus Hobbies. Yeah.
Mhm.
Used to do radios and kits. This thing, quite frankly, is almost piece for piece the old Top Flight Texan.
Really?
Those are actually really valuable right
Yeah.
now. At least the top flight
It's
Texans
got
are.
a spun aluminum cowl in it
Really?
that probably weighs 5.5 pounds.
Yeah, it's a little heavy probably, but Huh.
It's a unique kit,
Mhm.
but I'm just really not interested in doing a Texan anytime soon.
Yeah.
Plus, this thing is really old.
yeah.
But all complete though.
It's a complete kit. It's never been molested at all.
Nice.
See, now we're talking about going up to Toledo. You should take some of your stuff up there and
I should. I really should.
Yeah, the booth. The table rent's really cheap.
yeah.
Isn't it like $10 or $15
Yeah,
or
I
something
didn't
like
think it was
that? It's not
very much.
Yeah, it's very reasonable, I think.
Yeah, it's just,
Especially for the number of people.
Drag everything 300-400 miles.
Well,
I get that.
yeah, we're going just to buy.
I mean, I've got the Expedition, but
Oh, we can fit lots of stuff in that.
my new one's the short one. It's not the EL anymore.
Yeah, you can still fit a fair amount of stuff in it.
More than what we can fit in Tommy's car, and definitely more than what we can fit in mine. So
Yeah. Yeah, we just need to talk Reggie into taking the Suburban.
I
I don't
hope he
want to pay
does.
to fuel the Suburban.
Oh, they're not that bad. I used to have
Oh
one.
no, he'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. This trip is on him, right? He doesn't know it yet.
He
but,
doesn't
right?
know it yet, but Reggie, this trip's on you.
And we appreciate
We just
that. Thank you
volunteered
very
you.
much.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's not a bad idea. You know, maybe we'll go in on a table because I don't really have that much stuff that I would want to get rid of, but I could probably sell a couple of kits
Yeah, but
to pay for other.
is it
Assorted.
worth? I mean, who's going to sit at the table? I don't want to sit there all day.
Oh,
I want to
that's
go
true.
around.
Yeah.
Oh, between all of us, so somebody we just rotate out.
Yeah, that's true.
Nah.
So yeah, the AT6 never planning on building that. Okay, but yeah, the list of stuff that's like ready to go is to me awesome.
Impressive
Yeah,
compared to our dinky little lists. Which
I'm looking at the list here. I think, with the exception of a few of these, obviously like the one you just finished, and I don't think I've seen your GWS P51.
Yeah, it's hanging on the curtain rod in my workroom there.
But I mean, I've never seen it fly, I should say.
No, it's been years since I've flown it. It's got a. Originally, it started out with a. You know that motor mount he gave you earlier.
Yes.
I originally used that aluminum motor mount in there for a brushless motor, which quickly burned up. So I got digging around. I found a Speed 400 and a gearbox.
Oh dear.
So it's been converted to a Speed 400 and a gearbox.
Nice.
Hmm.
But yeah, I have flown that thing for years.
Yeah, I'll say I bet that does pretty good with a speed.
It'll rip it right out of your hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now-
Go ahead.
No, go on. Because
Yeah, I was going to say the Speed 400 motors were basically, those weren't the Cobalt ones, right?
No, this was the.
So they were a 480 size can, right?
These were the Hobby Lobby 380. They're 380s.
380s. Okay. Yeah. Powerful
so
And cheap.
and cheap. Yeah.
that's the best kind.
Yes.
So going down your list, I see a lot of these scratch-built foamy airplanes. They are gorgeous, by the way. You've done a great job on all those. Talk us through how you do that and what goes into making something like that. So before I get into that, what for people that are listening, these are not like Dollar Tree foam board airplanes or anything like that. These are actually carved. Is that fan fold foam or whatever you want to call that, like the extruded foam that you somehow make look like an airplane?
Installation, underlayment.
Okay.
Yeah. Now these are not to clarify further.
Yeah.
These are not your profile flat pieces of foam, such that from a distance it looks kind of like an airplane. These are actually 3-dimensional, like fully fuselage. Yeah, with an airfoiled wing. So yeah, take us through the process.
Actually, the airfoiled wing, they are flat plane wings. I taper the leading edge and so forth.
Yeah. I was just thinking about
flat.
Yeah, I was thinking about my T-38. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that's and then I started thinking about it's like, oh, okay, yeah, the leading edge has been rounded, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started building these 16 years ago. I had my operation. I had my leg removed due to cancer. And I had to have something to do because I just can't sit still.
Yep.
And I had no money because I wasn't working for 8 weeks. So this was really cheap to do. I can buy a bundle of fan fold foam for $30, and that's enough foam to build 20, 30 airplanes. I mean, it's ridiculous. So if you guys need any fan fold foam, come see me.
We've got a supplier.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit still. And I love the F15 Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a set of plans for a Park Flyer pusher, F15 on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Downloaded it, printed it on my 8.5 by 11, and used a lot of Scotch tape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The first couple I built, I actually transferred the patterns onto a poster board and used that to make the patterns. Since then, I've discovered repositionable spray glue. So now I don't even bother with the poster board. I just print my plans and glue them to the foam.
Glue them right to the foam, yeah.
And then they just peel right off. And started dealing with those. I built one for myself, and I built one for Tommy at the same time, the F-15.
Mm-hmm.
Was a little leery of it when I went to first fly it, and it flew right out of my hand, making a hard left turn, which I found is due to the gear-driven propeller that it uses.
Just all the torque?
All the torque turns it to the left. It goes up and to the left, real hard every launch, but it's reliable. You know it's going to do it.
Yeah.
And really enjoyed that one. So I went and downloaded some more plans. Next one after that was, what did I do? I guess it was the F4 Phantoms, which I no longer have an F4. Tommy still has his.
Mine flies so nice.
I love that plane.
I do too.
That's gorgeous.
It flies so good. And it looks so awesome. And because, well, I mean, it looks like an F4.
It does.
Yeah, you get these things 20 foot out, and they look perfect.
Yeah. And even though it's a pusher, it has the prop in the back, and even though because you went to a brushless outrunner as opposed to the gear driven one, the prop spins so fast it just disappears.
You don't see it.
Yeah.
I paint the motors to match.
Yeah. And and the thing is, the funny, you say you don't have yours anymore. You build them exactly the same. In fact, you may even have built them at the same time.
Yours and mine were built exactly at the same time. I did not build a Tommy's plane and Dave's plane. The parts were interchanged as I was building them. The only difference came when it was time to decal them, because your decals are different than mine.
My markings
Other
are
than that, I built them exactly the same at the same time.
Same motor, same speed controller, same servos even.
Everything's
same
identical.
Location for all of that gear, and they flew completely different.
Yeah, mine was
like yours was
piece of
a
garbage.
POS, and mine is awesome.
And the same thing now goes with the MiGs. You have a MiG-21 and I've
Yep.
got a MiG-21. Once again, built exactly at the same time.
Mhm.
I love my MiG-21.
Yeah, I like flying mine too. I don't think mine flies quite as good as yours.
No, I think mine flies just slightly better.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean,
they are different.
for what they're made of. To
yeah.
fan fold foam. And they're not, they're not just blue. Like Dave goes through the process. He paints them, puts the camouflage on them. We put the, the markings on them. And exactly, you get this thing 20 to 50 feet away in the air and they look like the real airplane and they're so much fun to fly.
Yeah. And they're low cost.
Yeah.
I don't think I have $100 in any of them.
Yeah. Very low stress.
So that's all carved then. What do you use to carve it?
Believe it or not, they are not carved.
Oh.
This is one of the few hobbies that being a little on the pudgy side comes in handy. You can actually roll, just like you would roll tubing in a tubing bender.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with a piece of PVC pipe and my fat belly. And you can literally, you can just curl it right
Really?
around.
You can induce a bend into the foam.
Yeah, and you
That's
can taper
awesome.
that bend if you get, if I eat the right lunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and then
what-
you can hold that in shape because there is some structure on the inside
Yeah,
of some
they've
of
got
them.
formers, and
Yeah.
the formers then lock everything in place.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. I've
Yeah.
never seen the inside of one.
There
of
is a
them.
little carving, the nose cones and so forth. Those are
Or the
slabs
penguin.
put together and then shaped. But for the most part, the fuselages are either slabs or rolled.
And then what? Like, is that 1/4 inch or what thickness?
It's roughly 1/4 inch. I think it's the metric equivalent of,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
which is I think 6
But
millimeters.
he does
6
carve
millimeter,
the
yeah.
pilots.
Not well.
Mine looks like a penguin.
So does mine. I went 6 millimeter RC. I think used to have the vacuum form pilots, and I bought a bunch of those
Oh, okay.
because the pilots really.
Mine still have the awesome pilots in
I've
them.
still
so-
got a penguin in my F15.
Looks like a penguin. Wow.
Oh, I kid because
Well,
it really looks
It
awesome.
does. It looks like a penguin, but that distance.
But yeah, when it's whizzing by at a whopping 40 mile an hour,
Is that a penguin flying?
That
this thing?
silhouette looks like a fighter pilot with the hose on the helmet and everything. Yeah, it's cool looking.
You shouldn't
That
have
has
painted
always
them
been
black
my
and white though.
They probably should have,
I can carve a block of balsa into pretty much anything except for a human figure.
except a human figure.
Well, that's-
Cannot do it.
That's so difficult. That's why. I mean, it's hard to
is.
do people well.
I wouldn't even attempt it myself.
Well, me neither.
I'm just not that talented. So,
I'm not that patient.
well, there's that.
Now I scratch built a Wright Brothers engine, and I think it looks pretty good.
I think it looks fantastic with the pictures.
Can't do a simple 12 scale bust.
Well, just have Ron 3D. Oh, that reminds me. Speaking, I'm sorry. I was just going to talk about 3D printing. I saw somebody on, I think it was probably one of the groups I follow on Facebook. They had 3D printed, and I don't know how they did it, but it's foam somehow, 3D carved maybe. I don't know. But it was a silhouette of themselves. And then they painted it, to make it look like, so it was actually them, the individual in their airplane, which I thought was really,
I've seen that done with
Really
the profile, but I've
cool.
never seen the full.
no, this was a full 3D print with the guy had like a ball cap on and he painted or had somebody paint it to make it look like him. And it was awesome because it was him in his airplane.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
would
that
like
was
to do
pretty
that, but the scanning part is what's difficult.
Oh, okay.
Like, and it's been a while since I looked at it. It used to be very expensive or very do-it-yourself to get a good scanner for scanning any
3D.
object.
Oh,
So
I see.
yeah, they used to use like oh shoot, what was it? The Microsoft Connect. I don't know. You remember the thing that used to, like, if you had a micro, or
Oh, yeah,
what was
with
that,
the
Xbox or
Xbox, yeah.
something.
Okay.
They used to use those and
Somehow.
actually somehow use the sonar or ultra, whatever was on that, to kind of scan it in
Interesting.
with whatever's on there. But I didn't want to spend the money on one of those back then, and I haven't looked into it to see what is out there now. But that would be awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry. We're talking about the you said 12 scale bust, and then I thought, bust of my, oh, wait, this 3D. Yeah. That's how my mind works.
I'd print a
Sorry.
small picture, or not a picture, a small bust of me just for you to hang in your bedroom.
Yeah.
I think that would be worthwhile.
Yeah. I think so. Sure. Do it. So I'm still looking at Dave's ready to fly list. I've seen almost all of these fly, except for, I don't think I've seen that P-51. I think I've seen all the park flyers, the Vampire I've seen. Obviously the Wright Flyer's new, so hasn't anybody seen that one fly yet. Eindecker, yep,
Oh,
I've seen that one. That
He's got the Hangar 9 T-34.
he does. Yeah, I've seen it fly. It's gray. Hard
That's
to
the
see.
same one as you had, though, right?
It's exactly the same. His is
Just
gray and
different
mine's
color.
yellow.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Mine has flaps.
And his has flaps.
Why didn't you do that?
It was built when I got it.
So is mine.
Oh, and you added the map
It
to
was
that?
Ed's old airplane. It was given to me.
Okay, so I'm a slacker. That's why mine doesn't have flaps.
I got the gumption one day to run the wing through a bandsaw and cut it in half.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, that was hard to do.
I'm
It's
sure.
like, okay, here we go.
So then when you went to rejoin, or did you rejoin him? I mean, obviously you rejoined it, but did you go with a two? I can't remember. You didn't do a two-piece
No,
wing.
it's back to one piece. It was epoxied and fiberglass back together. In the
Oh,
center.
okay. So you didn't put a dihedral brace back in?
No.
Okay, I
just
gotcha.
a Real
Yeah.
good epoxy job and
Mhm.
fiberglass cloth.
Yep. And that's enough. I mean, let's
It's
be
not going
honest.
anywhere.
Yeah, that's plenty.
Those aren't that big.
Flaps made a huge difference. It lands so much better now.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the only complaint really I ever had with the yellow one, is that it ate up so much runway, especially on landing, because it just wouldn't slow down.
Mine now, it takes way more to take off than it does. I went with scale 3-blade prop, and the 3-blade killed
Yeah,
its take off.
mine has the 3-blade on it too.
What motor do you have on yours?
Super Tiger 45.
Yeah, see, Tommy's got that cheap old Evolution.
You know, I'm not a fan.
Here we go.
Of Evolution
here we
engines.
go. I've never heard of a
But
good
I have-
Evolution, but
I've
this one.
never seen an Evolution run as good as the one that's on my T34.
You get a good one, you got a great one.
Yeah.
You got a bad one, you got a bad one.
Yeah. And I bet it's been so long since that engine has been ran. I bet the bearings are probably shot by now, I'm sure.
I haven't seen that thing fly for 2 or 3 years at
Well, it's
least.
been
It's
at
been more
least
than that,
that.
actually.
Well, I'm afraid to fly it now because the canopy is brittle. You know, that plastic,
Mine's yellowed quite a bit.
it's yellow, but now mine is very brittle. It's like you touch it and you can just see the spider web cracks. And that's unfortunate. We had talked about, Ron
Yeah,
and I
we
had
did.
talked about making a plug and maybe vacuum forming our own.
One day.
And I would still like to do that, but
One day.
but
We have to
mine-
make a vacuum form machine first.
Yeah, I know. Anyway,
Huh.
I bet
We've
we
been-
could sell a few of them. I bet there's lots of folks out there. Well, maybe not lots.
I've
but-
been lazy.
I know somebody's
see?
got a vacuum form machine about 120 miles away from here.
Yeah.
I know. I want
Yeah.
one in my garage, though.
Well, Ron has one.
I
A
have
small
one.
one.
It's
Wow.
really small for pulling those canopies for those park flyers.
Oh, really?
I use my shop vac and my wife's oven when she's not around.
Yeah, that's what Ron
Yeah,
has.
I've got one. I've never put it together, but I've got
Well,
one.
but I mean, it's the same principle.
Yeah.
Hook up a shop vac and use the oven to.
See, I made one of those a while ago on my CNC machine. I don't like saying that for some reason, but I did. It
Okay.
worked okay, but it was just so like I need a vacuum that sucks more, I think, is the problem.
Okay. So you need to pull more vacuum.
Pull the filters off your shop vac.
It didn't have I did. Like that one didn't have it. I just might not have had a good vacuum. I don't know.
That could be.
And maybe I had some air
Maybe
leaks
you
in
need
there
a
too.
Dyson.
Some of us
Those
can't
things
afford
never
those.
lose suction, according to Dyson.
Well,
I'm just saying.
some of us don't have 2 of them. But anyway. Rich.
Really,
people.
you got to go there.
What?
That wasn't my call.
You brought it up though. So yeah, I feel
But
justified.
yeah,
going through it.
reluctantly, we have 2 of them. I didn't.
We have an upstairs one and a downstairs one. It's so nice. Sorry.
You're such a
So,
jerk.
Going through your list, one of the things I actually love watching you fly, I've seen it a couple times, is your parafoil. Like that's not. I like once again.
It's
I
so
like things that are
unusual.
so
Yeah.
unusual that you don't see all the time.
Mhm.
Parafoil is great to fly.
It's a pain to get going, though.
Pain in the butt to get airborne.
I watched Reggie try and do it, and he actually crashed it. I don't know how you do that, but it was-
Crash
I
without
cannot-
actually flying. Yeah.
Missing a leg, I cannot launch it myself because you have to take 2 steps with it. It's just the mechanics of getting the airfoil up. Over
yeah,
your head.
yeah,
I
get it
just can't do
inflated.
it. No one else seems to be able to do it on a regular basis. I've got people that can do it, but not consistently.
Yeah.
So once we do get it airborne, it's a wonderful flying aircraft. It has to be pretty calm.
Mhm.
I've gotten to put some nav lights and so forth on it so we can fly it well into the evening.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And it'll cruise around for hours, it seems like, on that battery that's in it.
Mhm.
It's a lot of fun to fly if you can get past the launch stage.
Yeah. Once it's launched, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
And landing is easier.
You just chop the throttle and do nothing.
But like I said, though, that is just such a neat looking airplane. Well, not airplane, neat
It's
looking
an
aircraft or aircraft.
Aircraft. Yeah.
I like I said, I like different. It's so cool to see it.
It's very
up there.
relaxing to fly.
Yeah.
It and my little Eagle, same thing. You get it airborne, and it'll just cruise around so gentle and easy.
Mhm.
I up at Streeter last fall. The evening was calm. I literally set it up on glide approach, chopped the throttle, put the transmitter on the ground,
Nice.
and
Hey guys, watch this.
it just cruised in and gently touched down.
That's
All
awesome.
done.
I didn't know you had two D7s. I mean, I knew you had the big one.
I've got the big Balsa USA quarter D7, and then I've got I bought it at Toledo many years ago. Hobby Barn. It's 40 size. It's got a 65 ASP 4-stroke in it. Mine actually, once it chewed up the lifters on the second flight, it's been a great motor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't harden the lifters; they were soft, and it chewed them up. And of course, all that metal went through the engine, tore up the ring, tore up the bearings. So basically, I had to rebuild a brand new motor. They weren't warranted, of course. But after that, the only problem I've had with it is the plastic throttle arm is busted off. So I think it's JB welded on now. But it flies great.
I don't know if I've ever. What color is that one?
It's red.
It's like
Rust
all the
oil.
other ones. Yeah. Huh. I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yeah, you probably haven't. I haven't flown it for a few years.
Yeah. Of course, the P40, I've not seen it fly, but I've seen it at least.
It's made a 20-foot flight.
Yeah. The Corsair, the FMS Corsair, I don't think I've seen that one fly.
That's a new one from last year.
Okay.
Currently, it's down because Fred broke the tail wheel off of it.
Fred is the dog, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure
let people
decided
know
to sit in my
that.
lap while I was putting it together and side-loaded the tail wheel assembly.
Oops. Snap.
So it's flyable, but there's no tail wheel, so I need to get that fixed.
Mm-hmm. So the Midwest Aerostar, that's not your original one, is it?
That is not my original.
Okay.
That one I bought for the grandson to learn on, and he learned on that, and then it's been sitting in the garage all that time.
Yep.
But it's a great flying airplane.
And the Dancing Wings Eagle, I don't think I've.
Yeah, that's an Eagle I just talked about.
Okay.
I got it last summer as well.
Okay, because you've got a Park Flyer Eagle too. That's the one I thought you were talking about.
No,
You're talking about the Eagle. It's actually an eagle, like the bird.
F15 Eagle.
No, like the bird.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that one.
Yeah, it chased the turkey buzzards off the field. They weren't real fond of it.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I've not seen that
I
one.
forgot all about that one.
It's a great flying airplane. It's a cheapie. It's $90 from Grayson Hobby with all electronics, and you can build it in an evening.
Wow. That's actually
You have
an
a
Eagle.
P47 started? I didn't know you started it.
It came pre-started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's allowable.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
you
can't-
still have a kit
It doesn't
like that,
count
too.
against you because
it's not all
you
in the
didn't
box.
start it.
I have a wing and a partial fuselage,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of it's in a box, which I don't know if I'll ever build it. But
Yeah.
it's one of those trading things.
Yeah. And it's a red box.
And it's a red box.
Yeah. Now, if it was like the gold edition kit, those actually you can actually build one of those in a reasonable amount of time. But the red box kits, they are very, very labor intensive.
And the 4-page instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my second one, though, so it should go faster.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
might be missing a canopy. I'd have to go through the box. It might be missing a canopy.
Yeah. So you and I, like over the years, we've been to trade shows and, the Chicago, the I forget what it was called at the very
Chicago
end.
Model Hobby and Expo.
Yeah, but like at the very end, it was called something else like Urcha or whatever. Anyway, like over the years, we've noticed a significant decline in the turnout and the representation of the manufacturers. What would you attribute that to? Like, I mean, I have my own thoughts on that, but I'd be interested to know what you think.
Well, a lot of it I think has to do with the internet
Yeah.
for local hobby shops because they just can't compete stock wise. Right now I'd be just happy to have a place that stock glue.
Yeah, right.
I ran across the lack of builders. There's
Yeah.
builders out there,
There-
but it's all ARF.
It's not
Which I've
dead.
got nothing against ARFs.
Right. I don't either. Not really.
But my brother was looking for a sanding block the other day. Cannot find a sanding block.
Yeah.
That's impressively sad.
Yeah. Unless he wants to spend, $5,000 on a Great Plains contoured sanding, bar on eBay, which
That's all dinged up.
Yeah, that's another conversation. But no, I feel similar. Like the advent of the internet and online shopping, and the proliferation of Chinese made goods into the marketplace. It's hard for hobby shops to keep up and to make money because the margins were slim. You remember how slim they were anyway.
You're not going to get rich running a hobby
Yeah,
shop.
and so manufacturers are reluctant to spend the extra money to display their wares at
trade
expos and things like that. So the general decline, I think, in that sort of activity in the hobby, I can certainly agree that the internet sort of ushered that in.
That's great. I can get all kinds of weird stuff
Yeah,
very easily.
yeah,
But I can't just go to my local hobby shop and
Right.
pick up wheel collars. I need wheel collars right now.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
yeah. Well, and that's another. I mean, that's another part of the hobby that I feel like that is suffering. We talked about earlier. At one time we had 3 hobby shops here just in our little town, and big places like St. Louis, Chicago. They just had a hobby shop on every corner. It seemed like, but thanks to the internet and the ease of shopping online and the how a manufacturer can now have something made overseas and at a really inexpensive, where labor is not very expensive, and then so I agree. It started, I think, with the internet, and then when Chinese kind of entered the marketplace, I think that was sort of the demise of the local brick and mortar hobby shop and the shows that went along with them.
See, my problem though, like, you can buy cheap stuff online. I would have no problem paying a little bit more for that cheap stuff if it was in a hobby shop. Like, what is wrong with carrying a lesser brand in a hobby shop alongside your good stuff? Because some people want the expensive stuff that they trust and all this kind of stuff. Depending on what you're flying, I don't mind the $2 servos.
Well, and I think you'll see a shift. Like, so let's take Dynamic Balsa, for example. It's owned by Brian, and Brian's been in the hobby. It's well documented. We interviewed him, and he's been in various parts of the hobby for many, many years. And he's sort of what I would call old school. He's holding on, like I am, and like most of us are holding on to those old values. We want top brand, we want Top Flight this, or Great Plains that, or Hobbyco this, or whatever. And if it doesn't say Dynamite on it, or whatever, Great Plains, then it must not be good. I think you're going to see a shift, like in the next few years. Like, hobby shops are going to start, I think, doing exactly what you're talking about. They're going to be like, okay, well, we can't get batteries in a cost-effective manner such that we can make money anymore from this supplier here in the U.S., but we can get them from here. And they seem to be almost as good a quality, but the price difference more than makes up for the little bit of lack of quality. So we'll start stocking these, and then eventually stuff that wasn't name brand is now going to be, name brand.
I see what you're saying, but like, to quote an old song, that don't impress me much. Like, name brand stuff has never really been a big thing to me. When I was doing so my neighbor and I, we used to have a track set up here. We used to run rustlers. He had the tracks set up, the Valenion, whatever, brushless set up on his car. I had the cheap, I don't even know what the brand was. It was some off-brand kind of thing. There was no difference in how fast our cars were. He didn't outpull me. I didn't outpull him. It was set up really close to being the same. It was more expensive for him to replace the bearings in his motor than it was for me to buy a whole new motor. Mm-hmm. So I would just keep a spare motor or two on. Mm-hmm. And if something happened, then I have a new motor, throw it on in 5 minutes, and you're back out racing.
Right.
He would if something happened to his when the bearings went out, you're done for the day.
Yeah.
But it happened just as often to him as it did to me. So it's not like there was a quality difference in that either. So name brand doesn't impress me as long as what I have works.
Branding within the hobby industry as well.
Oh, that's true.
I have a charger that I bought from Chinese importer.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the same exact charger in a different paint scheme with different stickers on it at least 5 different times.
Oh yeah,
for much more money than I paid for it.
Yeah.
And the electronics in that charger probably came from, if not the same, a very similar production line that the electronics that went into a name brand charger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I think what I'm getting at is like my generation or generations of my age or older, we tend to not trust this or that because it doesn't have this or that name on it. Whereas maybe your generation or younger, maybe they don't have that association because they haven't been around. You know what I'm saying? Like Great Plains isn't a well-known name among maybe your generation. Whereas Dave and I, somebody says Great Plains, we go right immediately to, memories we have of flying Great Plains airplanes or buying Great Plains hardware or whatever, because Great Plains was like, for the longest time, when you'd open up a magazine, it was Great Plains this, Great Plains that, Top Flight this, Top Flight, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I understand.
So there's
it was
that
branding.
association, I think. But what I'm saying is like, as time goes on, the older generation, I don't want to say we die off, but we get out of the hobby or whatever, and it's not as important to us anymore. Whereas the new generation coming in, they don't have that name association with those brands. And it doesn't even have to be a brand, you know what I'm saying? But so I think you're going to start seeing, bottom line, I think brick and mortar hobby shops are going to adapt.
Well, I hope so.
You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
like I think that's one of the things that could have been done to maybe keep one local here. Because like I said, I would have no problem paying a little bit extra to a local guy that would stock it. And if I need 5 servos, I can run in and just pick it up that day.
Right.
I have no problem doing that, but I'm not, if I can get the same quality of servo online for a fifth of the price as I can going to a hobby shop, I can't afford to do it that way and spend the extra $100 on servos when I have no noticeable difference. And there's nothing in it extra for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. So one more thing I wanted to ask Dave. So Ron and I have talked about, here and there on the podcast about things that have like influenced us. And, Ron has his stories and I have mine. Like what sort of things influenced you like in the hobby? Like I remember, as a, kid seeing names like, Phil Kraft and Doc Matthews and all these other guys that were like really, really influential as far as like aircraft design and things like that. And so every time I saw that name pop up, it would like grab my attention and I would read it. Right. So did you have any influences like that?
Not really.
Not really.
A lot of it was working in the hobby shop for 17 years and seeing things come and go and seeing other people having experience with something that's like, maybe I'll avoid that. Or others, that looks a lot of fun and it's working out. So we'll try that.
Yeah. Okay.
I was self-taught heli. No one around here was flying helicopters when I taught myself.
Nice.
All right?
Yeah.
It cost me a few set of rotor blades, but
right.
After that, I got to the point where I could fly around fairly reasonably and not crash.
Yep.
So pretty much it's just, I really haven't had that many influences.
Yeah.
It's neat that the hobby is so small. Back in the day, going to the hobby trade shows and stuff, meeting all these big names in the industry and going to dinner with them. They're big shots, but they're not.
Right.
Yeah. To anybody that doesn't know what an RC airplane is, they're just the guy next door.
Right.
To those of us that do, it's like, wow.
Yeah, most of those people who were responsible for the direction of RC were just regular guys. They had a passion for model airplanes and they did everything they could and used the skills that they had to guide them. But they were just, bottom line, they were just regular guys and gals doing stuff they loved doing.
Some of these big names in the hobby industry are being ran out of a guy's apartment.
Yeah.
There was a major retractable landing gear company here, not too far from us, and his entire facility is in his apartment.
That's amazing.
Well, Phil Kraft, if for lack of a better word, the godfather of digital proportional radios. He had help, of course, but he ran his complete operation for the first few years out of his garage. Produced who knows untold numbers of radios right out of that one car garage. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. One more thing I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Dave actually had a correction for us from the stick episode last time or the time before, whatever.
Okay.
About the crosses that were on there.
Oh, yes.
All right. So your crosses that are on your big stick, ugly stick, dust stick, stick.
Stick. Mhm.
Those go back to the, because that is a very way the bleep off scale.
Right.
Eindecker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the Eindecker was a German
So that's your tail shape
Yeah.
and the markings.
Oh, I'll be darned. Okay, so there you go.
See?
A very, very, very standoff scale model of an Eindecker, which was, of course, a German warplane way back early.
16, 17.
Early, yeah. Wow. Crazy.
That is
And
way
that was
early.
those were the markings that were on. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
See? Call us out when we're wrong. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, definitely.
I figured it was something German, though,
Usually,
because of the
yeah, if
Das ugly stick being the first name. I mean, if that
Yes.
was the first thing it was called, then that had to have something to do
Right.
with Germany.
So one last thing from me, and then I'm not going to talk anymore, I promise.
Cool.
You bought, or you are in the process of getting ready to use a magnetic building board.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a new venture for myself.
Yeah.
All these hundreds of airplanes I've built in the past have all been built on foam
Mhm.
and pins.
Yep.
Very comfortable with the pin and foam.
Yes.
Mhm.
My cat decided it likes shredding my building boards.
Mhm. Mhm.
And foam isn't cheap anymore.
No, it's not.
especially
It's
the 2-inch
crazy.
Yeah.
So I've got really tired of replacing that. And I just happened to be cruising the internet and saw this thing about building with magnets. And I know from years the E.J. Lynn magic building board
Yep.
thing that
I
they used to
remember that.
sell. So I took and bought a bunch of magnets on eBay, Amazon.
Amazon.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I downloaded the diagram for the fixtures and cut a bunch of these fixtures with a scroll saw, which I probably should have came and saw Ron and his laser cutter.
Yes.
That would have been a lot easier.
It would have saved me an afternoon of making sawdust, but that's all right.
Yep.
That's what this hobby's all about.
Exactly.
And so I have all my fixtures. I've got them all polyurethane. They're pretty furniture grade looking things,
Nice.
which I don't know why.
Because
They're going to get covered in glue and paint.
Because you can.
yeah.
I've got my my 22 gauge sheet metal laid out on my table. So we're ready to use this, but I got to find something simple to start this with.
Yeah.
I don't want to start with my quarter scale Pulse USA Camel. So I'm going to have
No.
to find a quick, simple, easy project to try these out on.
Yeah, something simple and boxy.
I will be interested to see how that
Me
turns
too.
out.
Yeah, me too. I'm reluctant to change myself, but if
It's a big change.
yeah, it's a huge change. I mean, like you said, for years and
I didn't
years
throw
and
my
years.
pins away.
That's a good thing.
Well, I've got an extra sheet of foam out in the shop if you want to take something home with you.
Oh, there you go.
That'll be your parting gift. There you go.
Hopefully that I won't need, but we'll see.
I'll bet you never know.
All right.
You really quick. Do you have an adjusto jig?
I do have an adjusto jig.
See, there's another one.
Yeah.
Do you use
It's been
it?
used twice, and it's in the rafters in my garage.
Oh,
Yeah.
Anyone wants to borrow one, they can do it. But I'm going to hang on to it for the next double taper wing.
Yes. Yep.
See, they are good tools.
Definitely good for that. Yeah. And they're good at building fuselages too. We built our dualist fuselages.
I've built 3 wings on them.
And you
for
did.
One
You
airplane.
built 3 wings for one airplane on yours.
The flat bottom World War I stuff's pretty easy to build on the table.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, the next double taper, that's where they come in.
Cool.
Nice. Okay. Well,
Right
is there
on.
anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Dave?
Just thanks for having me, guys.
Not a problem.
Thanks for agreeing to have us give you the
3rd degree.
3rd degree. I was going to say 5th, and then in my head I was
That's
like,
not
5th
right.
degree is not right. So,
No.
but yeah, I enjoyed having you. Thanks for doing that.
Going
It
down
was,
memory lane here, making Ron feel really
young
childish.
and childish.
No,
That's because he is.
I tuned out a couple times. It's okay. No, I'm kidding. Anyway. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Until next time, I'm Ron.
I'm Tom.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the RC Plane Lab podcast. For topic suggestions, to ask questions, or to give any feedback, connect with us at rcplanelab.com or email us direct at either Ron at rcplanelab.com or Tom at rcplanelab.com. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail at 818-351-9846. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast app. Until next time, may your landings be gentle.